Business has been kind of slow these days, thanks to Sheriff Gorman Truart. He's been coming down hard on my competition and anyone else he deems unlawful. I've been playing it safe by keeping a low profile, but as my landlord recently reminded me, the rent is late. He says he's going to pay me a visit tomorrow to collect, so I'll have to go amateur for some quick cash. The warehouses by the docks should fit the bill. In addition to the usual shipping traffic, there's also a small smuggling operation sponsored by the local underground. Not too many guards, lots of dark corners, and several points of entry should make this job painless and profitable. Maybe I'll even have something left over for myself once the rent is paid. Wasn't that long ago that I was planning on my retirement. Now the only thing that's getting retired is my standards. If things get any worse, I'll have to go back to picking pockets in the streets.
It says a lot for Garrett's character that even though his entire career is made up of taking things that belong to people who worked hard to earn them, he still feels a sense of pride about what he does. Like, oh, I'm not going to pick pockets in the streets like an amateur, even though much of his work involves picking pockets, or I'm not going to go amateur for some quick cash, even though stealing from one person is kind of like stealing from another, isn't it? I guess plus or minus a bit of challenge, huh? I mean, in this case, he's not even really stealing from quote-unquote rich people necessarily. He's stealing from merchants, people who are working hard to try and make a living. I wonder how many people Garrett's put out of business and onto the streets. You know, there's something they could address in Thief 4 if they want some kind of story or something. Kind of involve that side of things. You know, what happens to all of Garrett's victims? You know, he's not always just stealing from rich people who have more than enough and then they're just fine afterwards anyway. Some people are really losing things from his actions. Anyway, so we need to find a crate and a shipping label and stick a different label on that crate so it's redirected to our fence. We're going to have some spice we need to find for quick cash. And then we need at least 850 in loot. Thankfully, it doesn't specify where the loot comes from. It could be from anything. And we don't kill anyone. And we get out of the area once we're done. It's funny, though, because 850 loot, well, we're in more than that back in the previous mission. So, if we buy stuff as it wants us to here, then we'd be wasting all that money. What we should do is not buy anything and then turn around and not even go to the warehouse at all because we've already got enough money for it. In fact, that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm not going to skip the mission, of course, but what I mean is I'm not going to use any of this cash. In fact, throughout the game, I'm going to see how little cash I can spend. I could have done this in Thief 1 as well, but, you know, I'm curious how much money total Garrett will be tossing in the river since he's not buying cash and yet still whining about how much he needs to pay the rent. Let's find out. Okay, now this mission is, I'd say, kind of a classic for Thief 2. It's a very large and non-linear level, and very well done, I'd say.
Oh well, guess it was nothing.
Sorry, it's not nothing, buddy. Now, one thing is, because I've got the gamma up so high, so that everyone can properly see what's going on, there's the risk that I won't be able to tell exactly how dark things are, but that's just how it's going to be. We got a conversation here.
You must be Uriel. Well, you're late. I thought I made it clear to you hammers that I don't like to be kept waiting.
Be thankful I treat with thee at all, unbeliever. 'Tis late, and I seek to finish here quickly that I may return to my brethren.
Well, my cranky friend, head this way and I'll show you to your shipment. You know, you hammers used to bring a lot of money my way, but I haven't seen you around lately.
I require but a fourth part of mine usual order. 'Tis all we are needful of, for our numbers have fallen since the rise of the accursed heretics.
Heretics? You mean the mechanists, right?
Speak not that accursed name to me. They follow not the way of the Master Builder, but a false prophet who twists holy scripture to his own selfish desire. Nay, worse still, those infidels would raise his lies to the level of holy word.
I've been hearing a lot about them lately. Don't know what to think of them yet, but Seems like they've got plans to improve the city, making life better for people like me, which is more than you hammers ever did.
The heretics are naught but a trial for the faithful of the Builder. They know nothing of devotion, of faith, of craftsmanship or skill, and blindly follow the path of lies, greed, and deception. Markest thou my warning? At the forge of the Master Builder, he will separate steel from dross, and those who follow falsehoods instead of faith will be forever cast aside.
Yeah, whatever you say. Let's just go and finish up our business.
Unfortunately, they never do. I'm not sure if this is a bug or what, but they never walk away. Kind of annoying, because it'll be difficult to get inside here with them standing right there. Maybe we can get in from above or from a different direction. I'm not sure yet. But I love how long and involved that conversation is. They go into a lot of stuff that doesn't matter to the player right now, but it's interesting enough that you want to stop and listen. And then it informs the player about what's going on behind the scenes. And then later on in the game, that ties into the main storyline. So by then, you've kind of got an idea of what's going on with the mechanists and all that stuff. And that's brilliantly done. I wish that the first game had done that a little more. Instead, the first game's only got like a few readables here and there that only mention Victoria or Constantine's name, and just barely. So you never really have a good sense of what's going on or what to expect, really, until you're thrown into it. And then at that point, you're in waist deep and there's no turning back, you know? Anyway, we'll get to these big bay doors as soon as possible, because I want to finish up over here close to our close to our starting area as soon as possible. Then we'll move south as seen on the map here, because we begin here and then I'm going to go down to the docks. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of filter through things like that so I don't miss anything. Now at first I was being kind of anal about putting down the numbers, because you need those numbers in order to open these doors. But I didn't realize that here you've got a blown up map of what's inside, and you know what they're for, who it is, and what the number is, which is really awesome. Although personally I kind of wish that it would have forced you to have to put down the numbers yourself. So it seems almost kind of a waste now because it tells you everything, but I mean, fair enough. It's cool how intricate and detailed and truly useful these maps are in this game, especially when you compare it to Thief 1, where the maps are just vaguely representative, so you can kind of tell where you are in relation to something else. But this map actually tells you what everything is and where you are and where you're going and everything. It's pretty amazing. So, let's see. Oh wait, where am I going? I want to be over here. I don't think I missed anything. I need to keep my eye open for some of these stacked crates, because there are often crates that have like an open top, and then you can go in there and get some loot or equipment or things like that. Those are some really big doors. Now, something I've noticed in this game is that in Thief 1, there's a lot of AI who had the same face, while in here you see a lot more variety in the AI's faces, partially just because the AI themselves have more variety to them. But the problem then is that AI in this game don't really share uniforms. Like in Thief 1 and Thief Gold, if you were in like a mansion, all the AI had like a color scheme to match the mansion, and that was really cool. Unfortunately, that seems to be kind of dropped here, but that's kind of a minor thing. Would have been nice if they would have had both.
Exhausted.
Let's reload to hear this full conversation.
Evening, Dante. You look exhausted. You should get some sleep.
I remember what it was like to sleep. Boss left this morning and put me in charge of unloading and cataloging all the incoming shipments for the mechanists. Every single bloody thing they order is made out of metal. I've been lifting heavy crates all day long. I think my back is about to break.
Bunch of Taffers in this city. I live near Dayport. I used to have a nice view of the mountains. I used to watch the sunrise with my wife every morning. But now, that metal monstrosity casts a permanent shadow over my house.
Oh, the Mechanist Tower, you mean? The city has certainly changed over the last year. A lot of that's because of the Mechanists. I was in Dayport just last week. All the trees are gone, and there are giant chimneys spewing out foul soot.
My whole neighborhood stinks of that blackened air. My house used to be white, but now it's gone gray with that smudge. And my son coughs constantly.
Well, there's more to the Mechanist than just factories. While I was in Dayport, I had to stop by the Mechanist Tower to pick up a payment. I couldn't believe what I saw. They had these mechanical faces that watched me and sent shivers down my spine, I tell you.
Yeah, I know all about those metal watchers. They installed some here in the Building B the other day. I heard they plan on replacing us guards with them because they don't need to give them pay at the end of the week. I heard rumors that we're all going to be fired. If that's true, then I'll have to live in the woods like a pagan.
Okay. Surprised me there. Sorry, buddy. You're never gonna get that sneeze out now. I noticed kind of something strange. Look at this. On the one side of his face, or of his head, he's got a weird green bit there. I think that that's an error in the way he was textured, because I know that the texture of his hair kind of connects to the shoulder in the actual file that is his texture. And so they went a little too far there and put a little bit of his clothing into his head, which is kind of bizarre, but there are little errors like that here and there. But overall, I'd say that this game, especially compared to the first one, is pretty high quality. I mean, the AI of higher res models, which look pretty good for the time, I guess. Yeah, I'd say they look pretty good for the time compared to like Deus excuse me. Deus Ex, for instance. Although I suppose around the same time like Max Payne came out, although that was going for a different kind of artistic style, so it's not going to look exactly the same, even though it looks better in some respects. Although I guess in other ways they look stiff in some others. It's I guess it's just depending on how excuse me, how the different engines worked and how they wanted things to look. Nobody's taffing around. Totally. No one. Excuse me. Anyway. So, there's a guy in there. But what we really want is in here. This will help excuse me. This will allow us to open the doors on the outside sheds so we can use these number things to open up all the big bay doors. And here's a little explanation about it. It's funny that it says Mechanist Technology, as if this is like a tutorial for all Mechanist technology, and really this is just a number pad system. It should just said, I don't know, number pad tutorial or something. I don't know. Maybe not use the word tutorial, but something that's a little more specific than just Mechanist Technology. Yep, so the blah blah blah. He's in room 0457, or Bay 0457, however you want to read that. But doesn't really matter to us, because we'll get to all that stuff one at a time. Some more information. All this stuff is just kind of for fun, for show. If you're curious, none of this really has anything major to do with anything. It's just kind of a little bit of flavor text to let you know kind of what's going on, helps the world feel a little more alive, that kind of stuff. It also gives you some numbers, but I mean, we have all those numbers anyway. It just depends on how you're going to go through them. I don't want to punch in the numbers, because you can only have one number punched in at once. And then if you punch it in here, not knowing exactly what it's for, then you have to run and find where it is. I'd rather just go outside and open all the doors one by one near a shed, and then get them all cleared out, and then move on, you know? I think that would save time. Save time. It's a little bit of information there. I don't read that stuff out loud, that is. You know, Fen Phoenix does that because he has glorious voices that he does, and it's lots of fun. Not for me. I've got a droning tone of voice. I'm like, for security reasons, I would like to request the installation of... Okay, we're not going to read that. Wait, why do I hear background sound with this one? Oh, they should sound like this. A constant drone. Like this one. but this one allows you to hear the sound. Weird. Wonder why. Huh. It seems to do it consistently too, because each of the time I will admit I've played this level once before or tried to let's play it, but it actually 2 times. It didn't go so well though because I was tired and so I was fumbling my words even more than I am now. And in both those times though, that scroll did that. I wonder how or why. Because that would actually be a neat thing if there was some specific reason why it did that, because sometimes you'd like to have some other sound going on when you're listening to something besides this drone, but there's just like a single sound that's specified in Thief that's for when you're reading things, and then that's what plays, that droning sound.
You?
No, it is not me.
Nothing, I guess.
Someone else. These have got to be very uncomfortable. These big armor dresses. I guess they're like tunics or something. I don't know. So who's this? Vice President. Now, a neat thing here is that AI can actually see through the windows in these doors. So you gotta be careful to make sure that they don't see you through the door. But what I was saying though about this level being, well, this game being nice compared to the previous one is, I mean, look at how much detail there is here with like the ceiling. I love the way that looks with all these girders and the additional entrance there you could come in through. I like how you can see the moon through there. That's very intentional, I'm sure. And all the stuff is properly grounded. There isn't so much crap flying off the floor in this game. I know that there are a few things, but by and large, it seems like it's a lot less. Also, remember back when we saw those crates? All those crates had their textures properly aligned to the shape of the block that they were put on, which I can speak from experience is very time consuming and tedious to do. So they put in the extra effort there. Jeez. Might be coming down with something because I've kind of got a nasal voice and I'm kind of choking out my words. More just random stuff. Neat, but not important. Check out Fen Phoenix's playthrough to really delve into that stuff. I mean, I love story and stuff, but I don't like reading stuff much in games, to be honest. I get very tired of it.
Saw something.
Okay, there we go. Phew. Now, another thing that's neat is in 1.19, they added the ability for AI to properly make footsteps on objects. Now, you might notice here that this catwalk here, this walkway, is very kind of complex. Look at, there are all these individual little things here with very carefully selected textures so that the rivets are in perfectly the right place, and then there's another cross beam there, and then this is very complicated and small. So that's a good indication that this is an object, not a brush like most of the rest of the world, because for that kind of intricacy with brushes, it would just be ridiculous. There'd be all kinds of errors when compiling the level and it wouldn't work at all. Now my footsteps make a clacking sound on there, but prior to 1.19, the patch that is, in Thief 2 and probably in Thief 1 as well, AI would not make proper footsteps when they walked onto objects. So they could walk over like a wooden plank or on those metal catwalks, and it wouldn't make any sound at all. But now that's been fixed, so now they make proper footstep sounds, and I love that. I'm glad. Alright, well, I'm going to come back to this building eventually, but this, if I follow those doors, it'll lead me all the way over to Building 2, and I don't really want to go that far right now. I want to get through the stuff outside and then move on. Yeah, so I'm going to go out there and select a door, one of those big bay doors, and then we can start... Ow. Then we can start cracking open the golden egg, so to speak.